Good morning. We are on day 4, core strengthening. So today we're going to tie in what we've learned for the past couple of days. So the breathing with the core activation, with the core stabilization, now putting that together into core strengthening. So it's body weight today. We're just using our pelvic floor, our breathing, our transverse abdominis to all engage in order for us to put these exercises together. And then tomorrow we have the core warm up with core exercise. So what you learn, everything is progressive. So we build upon our knowledge and what we've learned and put it together. You're going to notice a world of a difference just in this 1 week alone. So I know there's a few of you that had to drop out due to personal reasons and some injuries as well that you've sustained before. And I would love for you guys to still participate and watch the videos at your own pace. So I'm going to keep these videos in this group. So even after the challenge is over, you can still access them. I'm going to upload them all to my YouTube channel as well. So then you'll be able to just go back and reference them if you want to continue to do. Even with injury, you can still do the breathing and the core activation and the core stabilization. So just practice within your limits. If it hurts, stop and don't do it. And so with that being said, we're gonna move on. So core strengthening. So why do we need to do this? And I feel like, once we have our breathing down, we have being able to activate the core properly to engage in core strengthening. When we think about the core, we typically think about the 6-pack abs, but in reality, the core is actually like here to here, including the back, so the glutes are actually included in the core. I call this the powerhouse section. So this is where all the power is generated, right in the midsection. So when we strengthen it and strengthen all the smaller, weaker muscles, then we're going to perform a lot better than we would if we didn't include this in the program. So this is stepping stones to build up your body and allowing it to, especially if you're like super beginner or you haven't worked out in a long time, just being able to reconnect to your body in a different way will allow this to be a more sustainable goal to continue forward. I know we're doing every day this week with the exercises, but keeping in mind that the exercises aren't entirely super fatiguing. So let's say you missed a day and you can't catch up, or you feel like you can't catch up, but you can, because you can do essentially you could do all of these exercises in one day. So all 4 days so far, you could do it all in one day. It's not gonna over fatigue you, but you'll feel it for sure. So when we're doing the exercises, these next ones, I set a limit for 2 sets of 10. However, if 10 is too much with where you start to compromise your form, where you start to lose your form, stop and set that as the number to do for the other side. You may notice an imbalance. So if you're doing one side and it's so much stronger than the other, which that's the same with me. And our lifestyles dictate how we are uneven with our bodies, especially when you're like, if you say, what side is your stronger side? I say, my right side is my stronger side and my left side is my weaker side. But that actually translates over to not just like my dominant leg or my dominant arm, it's also my core. So when, let's say for example, because I sit baby on this side, the side's not as comfortable. I tend to, like when I carry her and I sit her on this side. So what happens when I sit her on this side, my hip shifts over and it lifts. So it's supporting baby on this side. And she's 25 pounds. So that's like packing a 25-pound weight around with you everywhere you go. So that's tightening this side, but not in the way that it's supposed to. So it's being overcompensated. I try to switch sides, but baby tends to just slip off this hip because I kind of have a figure of like an athletic figure, which is more straight and have no curves. So holding her on the side poses a challenge. So when you're doing things in day to day, try to have a conscious effort of switching sides once in a while. So that's something to consciously think about. I'm not saying that you have to be ambidextrous of like writing with one side versus the other, but if you're noticing that you tend to, let's say, okay, so when you're working out and you're doing a lunge and you have a tendency of starting with one leg, switch it where you start with the other leg, and that you'll notice it feels a little bit off, like it feels a little bit unnatural to start with the other way, but it kind of puts it in a lead role where it's like, okay, this side is going to go first and then this side. When we start switching up our mindset, our pathways get created. So when you start doing one side, then your brain is going to understand that, okay, this side is going to be stronger because you're creating those pathways from your mind to that muscle. So that's the purpose of activation, of strengthening, and being strong on both sides. So when we're working out, always work to the strengths of your weaker side. So if you can do 10 lunges on your strong side, but you only do 7 on your weak side, then you have to do 7 for both sides. It doesn't matter if their strong side could do 10, do 7. You only build up your tolerance for the weaker side because you know this one can do more, but you don't want an over strong side and then the other side not to be as strong. You want them to be the same strength. So just keeping that in mind. I know it's a lot, but if you take some of what I said out of this and apply it, great. If a lot of this went over your head, that's fine too. So I'm gonna just continue to educate and talk about it, and just so that it is in the back of your mind. If if you're going day to day and you're carrying groceries or you're carrying your baby, that you're like, oh, maybe I should switch sides today. And maybe just that one thought triggers it as a ripple effect. So anyways, we'll get started. We have 11 exercises. You're going to do 2 rounds of 10. And again, if you can only do 7, do 7 without compromising your form. So your form should stay intact. Your hips stay neutral so they don't shift around. When you start to notice that they're shifting around, stop, and that's your limit. So when you think about when it starts to shift and you're like, oh, I could do a couple of more. No, your body is telling you that is your limit. And the more you try to push through, that's going to put you in a compromised position, because now you're working out with a compromised form. And I'm huge about form. I mean, considering I'm going through this whole process with you guys before we start the workouts, because it's so vital. It's so important that we have good form through the exercises. So, okay, enough talking. We'll get started for the third time. All right, so the first exercise we're going to do is a cat-cow. So you're going to get on all fours. I had someone message me about the cat-cow, the spare position. If you notice that your head is craned down, that's putting extra pressure through the spine, and your spine is where all the nerves are from, right? So when we think about having optimal form, our nerves that travel through the spine, if there's any imbalances, it's going to tighten up that nerve, causing some discomfort. So when we think about the spare position, making sure that you're pushing up through the shoulders, your head is neutral, so not craned down. If this is fatiguing on the neck as well, you can do a slight lift so your gaze is a little bit more forward, and that's okay, but it's not craned up like this, okay? So bear position. Okay, so we're gonna arch our back, and remember, think about those breaths. So we're gonna do 5 breaths here into the ribs. Exhale, pull in that pelvic floor. So we're gonna get started. So with the cat-cow, we're gonna arch our back, okay? So inhale, exhale, pull in that pelvic floor. Inhale, exhale. Good. So after 10, we're gonna flip onto our back and go into heel slides. Oh, I forgot to move the couch. Back. Okay, so heel slides are gonna come onto our back. I'll slide this way a little more. Okay. So hip is neutral. You want to make sure, so let's landmark our hips like this. So we're not arched up and we're not pushed all the way into the ground. So find your center and it kind of falls right there. So keep your hands on your hips, because I want you to be able to feel your hips through the movement, so that you know if your hips are shifting through this movement, that you're aware of it, and we stay within where we have the strength. Okay, so the second one is heel slides. So preferably wearing socks or so that you can slide on the ground. Okay, So hips, breathing through the ribs. We'll take a couple breaths here. Exhale that pelvic floor. So now we're going to heel slide, and making sure when you're extending your leg that your hips don't shift. Good. So if you notice you got to, let's say, here and your back starts to arch, come back in, adjust back to neutral, and go just before you feel that hip shift, and then come back in. The stronger you get, the further you're going to be able to go. Think about that breathing. So if this side can go further down, and when you go to the other side and you notice it can't go as far, do them both the same distance. So if this leg can only go this far and you pull back in, make sure this side, when you do it next time, for the second round, you only go as far as the weaker side. So always start with the weaker side, because you'll know what side is weaker, or if you don't know, then it's just a trial, right? It's practice and then you'll know. So if this side can only go that far and go in, when you do the second round of this one, make sure, say if you started on your stronger side and you didn't know, that the next time you do it, you only go as far as you went with the other leg, your weaker leg, okay? And that's really important because that's where we develop evenness between one side versus the other. But if you are going further with one leg and then not going as far as the other leg, you're going to create imbalances within yourself, and that's going to actually hurt you further along as we go. When one side is stronger than the other, that causes imbalances, and it's like a kink in the chain, and you're compromising your form, you're compromising your body when you're strengthening one side a lot more than you are the other. So we'll always think about evenness when we think about opposite sides, okay? So heel slides, remember that breath, that hips stay neutral, okay? All right, third exercises, we're gonna go into marches. So staying in this position, hips are neutral, breathing through the ribs. Inhale, exhale, pulling that leg in. Remember, exhale, pelvic floor is on. If you notice when you're coming down, your hips start to shift, pull it in, okay?
pull it in and just work within this range. Okay, just with this range with the marches. So you don't have to heel drop all the way down in order to bring it back up. So if you notice that you get to here and your back starts to arch, come back, okay? Reset your hips and then go there. Say if you start to lift just past that and stay within that range, okay? Stay within that range. And that's okay. The stronger you get, the further down you're going to be able to go without those hips shifting. So again, other side, hips neutral, breathing through the ribs. Exhale, pelvic floor pulled in. Remember that's like as if you're trying to hold it before you can't reach the bathroom, right? So hold it in. Okay, so once you've done 10 each side, then you're just going to do the other side. So everything is 2 sets of 10 or 2 sets of the number that you can do. So if you can't do 10, then do the number that you can do from the weaker side, okay? Next one is bent knee fallouts. So you're going to stay in this position, hips neutral, breathing through the ribs. Exhaling, pelvic floor turns on. Inhale. One leg drops out. So if you're noticing when you drop out, I'll show you this. If you notice that when your hips, that when you fall your leg out, that if it starts shifting this hip, then stay within the range before it starts shifting, okay? So you're here, and if you could only go here, small movements are totally fine. Just stay within that range, okay? As you get stronger, you'll be able to go further. It's not a big movement. And it's controlled, so your leg doesn't just drop, it's controlled all the way down. And when you've done 10, the other side. See, now I notice that this side falls shorter than this side. So next time I do this exercise for the second round, I'm going to make sure I just stay within this range. So about the same. So if I notice, see, this is how it falls out. This side falls out more and this side is not. Even I have imbalances. I have a ton of imbalances that I need to correct and work on. But that's what's great about this program. It allows you to work on the smaller things, but also we're going to build up into doing those full body workouts and focusing on the primary movers of what we do. This is the fundamentals, and once we have the fundamentals, we're able to build on that. We only get stronger once we strengthen our smaller, weaker stuff. Okay, next one, bear position arm raise. So we've done this one yesterday. So bear position. So remember, Inhale through the ribs, exhale through that, pelvic floor. So inhale, exhale. Okay. So once you've got that, we're gonna arm raise. Okay. So this may seem like an arm workout, but it's not, because we're stabilizing the hips, because we're shifting, just that shift to the one arm. It's going to cause us, if you notice, like if we let go, we're not going to fall down, right? So we're able to maintain this position when we remove our arm. Once you've done 10, other side. And you don't have to do it that fast. I'm just demonstrating. You can go slower based on your level and your strength. Okay, so once you've done 10, do the second set. So each set you do one after the other. So once you've done 10, take a moment, take a rest, shake it out, and then do the second set. So it's only 2 sets for each one, but they're back to back. So when you do the arm raises, you do one side, then the other, take a break for like 5 seconds, 10 seconds, shake it out, and do another 10 and 10, and then move on to the next exercise. Okay, so that's just building up that tolerance, building up that strength within the exercise. We're not just going through it and then moving on to the next one. We're going through it and then fine-tuning it and then going through it again. So you get the movement, but then you kind of build on that for the next set. Okay, so the next one, we're still in this position, and I'm going to move forward. Tuck your toes under, and we're going to inhale through the ribs, exhale, pelvic floor on, inhale, and extend. Hips stay neutral. So right now I'm just gliding it against the floor. To progress this one, let's say for the second set. So if you've done 10, the other side 2, take a break, and now you're doing it again. Come up, pelvic floor on, tummy tucked in, up, and extend. Okay. Now I'm going to come this way. I wonder if you can see my hips this way. I'm going to just come down just so you can see my hips without it shifting. Okay, so when we're pushing up, we're not rotating. Okay, Hips stay neutral. Lift and push. Okay. So the next exercise that we have is going into all fours again. And we're going to alternate arm and leg. So opposite arm, opposite leg. So right arm, left leg. Okay, and up. So you may notice that you're wobbling a little bit on this one, and that's okay, just a slight wobble. When you do it a couple times, you'll notice it'll start to tighten up. Okay, because this will be a new movement for most of you. So 10 and then 10 the other side. So I noticed that I was stronger on that other side versus the other side. And that makes sense because the side is not my strongest side. And even though we did opposite, you could still feel, because there's something called a spiral sling. It's like a group of muscles that work together for a certain movement. So for us to do crossover, we're using our spiral line, kind of like this. So the muscles that attach this way is working together to hold it, to prevent you from rotating through that movement, so you're still, right? Or sorry, we were extending in that movement. Okay, next one, we have tabletop crunches. So we're gonna get up into this position. So hips, knees, and then 90 degrees, and then toesies up facing the sky. Hands behind the head. And you're gonna make sure you keep a space between your chin. So when we're crunching up, tabletop crunches, that when we crunch up, we're not tucking in, we're not craning our neck in like this. So we're coming up to the sky. So chest up, head up, elbows open. We're not like this, okay? We're up like that. So keeping that space. And it's not like a massive movement where you're trying to crunch in. We're up here, stable those hips, okay? Another way to fire on, you can take a pillow and put it between your legs on this one. So now we're using our adductor muscles, our inner thigh muscles, to engage as well. So if you start to feel your back arching, take a break. Okay, shift it out. You can rock it out, roll it, tuck your knees to your chest lightly, roll it. Alternatively, if you notice that this position is hard, you can tuck a pillow just a little bit under the bum, not a whole lot, but just to give you that support to kind of hold you right here. So it's not all the way under, it's just, so this is off, okay, So this is off, right? So I'm not sitting on it. I just tuck it just slightly under just to give myself a little bit of support. So when it's in this position, it's kind of holding me here a little bit so that when I'm crunching, I'm not straining my low back. So if you only do 5, if you can only do 3 of these, that's your number. Okay, take a break and then do 3 or 4 depending on your number, okay? So stay within your strengths. Okay.
Next one we have is low plank knee drops. So it's gonna look like this.
We're gonna get into a low plank on our elbows. Okay. When we're in this position, we're gonna come up into you can see here, into neutral spine. So we're not up here and we're not like down here, and our back is not super arched. So this is not a plank. We're pulling up like this. Okay, tuck the toes under, plank, knee drop, plank. So we're not resting on the ground, we just kind of hover and go. Hover and go. So remember to breathe. So 10 or the number you can do before you start fatiguing. Okay, the next one is our Superman back pull. So I'll face this way. So arms, arms straight. So look like this, arms straight. Okay, head down in between your shoulder blades, or in between your shoulders. Okay, so you're like a pencil, and head down, and don't lift up like this. Don't lift up so that your arms are lower than your head. Your arms stay pinned between your head. Okay, so when we lift up, Superman back pull. Okay. Superman back pull. Couple of things about this one. If you notice that you can't lift up both, lift up just, you can even tuck your toes under the couch just to give you some support. So lift up, just the upper body is fine. Alternatively, scooch forward, keep your head down, and lift your back. Okay. Okay. Different versions of this one. Do whichever one that feels best for you, that you're not straining or it's overly fatiguing. All of these are modifiable, so just do the one that you feels most comfortable for you and that you can do the most reps of. If there's any of these ones that you have questions about, so a lot of you have been reaching out, which is really great.
And I enjoy responding back, and I love hearing what you guys are saying, even if it's like, please help me with my form. That's exactly what I want you to do, okay? So the last one we've got, so we're gonna flip onto our back, and it's called it's like the bicycle one, except that it's extended. Okay, so we'll go modified first. So we're gonna inhale, hands behind the head, just like when we were doing the crunch, okay? Hands behind the head, hips neutral, okay? And we're gonna lift one leg. Lift the upper body. And cross it over, okay? That's good. Do it at the same time. Okay. Do as many as you can, up to 10. So if that's good and you're feeling strong, straighten out the arm and straighten out the leg. Ooh, okay. So inhale. Let's just break this one down. Inhale, exhale, pull up. Inhale, exhale, pull up. So let's just kind of go across. And if that's good, also with any extensors, so I struggle with this too, where my hip clicks, it kind of pops over, especially with an extension. Feel around your positioning. So sometimes if we're extending past a point that our body is not used to. So if you're extending and it's clicking, you want to just readjust and extend, and even like kind of try to find where that, if it's clicking, but if it's painful, do not search for pain. If it's just like clicking, it's not painful for me. It's just a hip click. It's just the tight muscles snapping over the bone. It's just kind of like shifting over, and that's just because I have imbalances in my hip, and it's this side, the hip I hold baby on, so there is a lot of tightness through there. So doing exercises that strengthen or that stretch out the hip flexors. I have a stretching video next Saturday. Okay, so 2 sets of whatever number that you can do. If it's up to 10, that's great. If it's not, that's totally fine. You're building up that strength. So these exercises can be done every day. So if you're not participating in the full body workouts, those are so optional. You do not have to do the full body exercises. I just throw them out there as like a bonus workout if you want to add on. But if you're not ready or you don't have the time, it's not necessary. These exercises that I'm posting are enough. It's meant to help build up our tolerance. So again, if you're just starting out, just do a number that you can do with good form and strength. Please do not try to continue to do exercises if you're not feeling comfortable with it, if there's some discomfort. If there is some discomfort, please message me and ask me. Sometimes it's an easy fix. Sometimes there may be some underlying issues, and I'm not a physiotherapist or a doctor, so I cannot diagnose, but I can help troubleshoot. So if that makes sense. So these exercises, you can do the breathing with the core activation, with the core stabilization. Now you have the strengthening. So we're building up, let's say like the base. So this is the breathing. Then you have the core the core activation, core strength, core stabilization, and then core strength. Now we're pulling that together and we're going to build on top of that. So only gets better from here. These are my favorite exercises because they're so simple, but they're so effective. I'm so excited. It may seem a little bit low-key for those that are advanced, but trust me, this is going to be so effective. It's so effective. And done right and done properly, you'll see results just from, let's just say you just only do these certain exercises and you drop off the program here, but you continue with the ones that we've done from video 1 to video 4. This in itself is something that you can carry on throughout your everyday life. So practicing those breaths, practicing the pelvic floor in conjunction with the breathing. That is life. Like, this is something you can incorporate into your everyday life, regardless if you want to continue working out or not. Sometimes some people just, life happens and we can't continue on. But if we can have a conscious effort on how we're breathing and how we're activating our pelvic floor with those breaths, with the core activation, then we're set. Then we have that foundation, and anything that we do after that is just going to be bonus. So really good job, you guys. This week we're almost done. Tomorrow we have core warm up, so just warming up the core and then doing a workout. So looking forward to that. I'm really excited. I'm really excited about this week. This week went by really well, and a lot of you have reached out and said how much you're enjoying it, and that's great. I'm always open to feedback and questions, and this is new for me. I've never done online programming like this. I'm a very personal person, which allows me to really connect with my clients. And one thing that I'm struggling with is having that connection. So if you guys send me videos of wanting just to see how your form is, how you're performing the exercises, I'd love to see them. And because form is such a big factor and very important in how I train my clients, what we're doing is how I would actually personal train. So I've built this program based on the success I've had with my other clients, and I've had with myself as well. But being able to offer it online is a little bit more tricky because these are very complicated and intricate exercises, because it requires a lot of thought and a lot of checking in with different points, which makes it a little bit more complicated. But when I'm hoping that when I break it down in the sequence that I have, that you're able to connect with it a lot more, and that it's not going over your head, and that it's understandable, that you're able to connect to it. So this is a learning curve for me, and this whole process is a learning curve for everybody. But being able to offer this online just allows me a different avenue. So if this is successful and it works, I'm really hoping that we can do another round of this just to add on. So I never imagined that I'd be personal training a large group of you at a single time doing these exercises. I'm not a traditional personal trainer. I'm very different from other personal trainers, and I take a lot of pride in that because nobody does what I do, and I feel like that sets me apart from other trainers. We just don't go through the motions. We break it down, and I want you to understand what you're doing, because when you understand, you're able to connect. And when you connect, you're able to perform a lot stronger. So keeping that in mind, that, you know, everything is a mindful movement, and that we're not just banging it out to sweat a bunch. I mean, we do, but we have that mindfulness and that connection to the movement. And when we connect to our body and we understand what we're doing, you want to succeed more, and you're able to have those tools in your tool belt. Like, I call this, like, when I'm educating, I feel like I'm just adding tools into your tool belt so that one day you won't need me. You won't need a personal trainer. You won't need somebody to help you do these things, but you'll want me, because you'll want that motivation and you'll want to be part of that community. And so if you just take this out of just wanting to get more exercises, whatever your goals are, I loved reading all of your introductions and your client questionnaire. I took, and I'm still taking a lot of your guys's goals and your fears as well, and taking that into consideration. And I'm hoping that we can build a program together. So it's going to be unique, but it is also going to be uniform. So I would love that if there's anything that you're finding is a limitation or a barrier, that you can come to me and say, hey, April, this isn't working for me. What can I do? And I'd love to help you out. I know that there's some of you that just have life going on still, that you're having to be out in the workforce, and my heart and prayers go out to you, and that you and your family are safe. And for everyone else, that you're home safe and with your family, and that you're able to do the things that you want to do. This quarantine has been getting to me personally. I'm a very social person. So I'm very fortunate and very lucky that I have my family here with me. But working out as an outlet is saving me. I feel like I would break down a whole lot sooner if I didn't have these workouts and didn't have these videos. But I'm also trying to find another hobby that keeps me sane through these hard times. And I've never thought of myself as a creative person. So I've never been inclined to paint or do any of that, but I rearranged my living room, and I found a passion in home decorating and home improvement. So I'm going to be Pinteresting a lot. We're going to be putting up our pool deck, so I want to get that done, and just work on stuff around the house, but also work on myself and taking that time. Yesterday I kind of fell into a hard place, just missing everybody, missing my family, but also realizing it could be worse. And I'm very grateful and really fortunate that I have what I have. And you know, I just want to be able to provide you guys with an outlet to help during these hard times. And so with that being said, I just want you guys to know that whatever is going on, we can work through it together. So if there's anything that you guys want to work on, if there's certain things that you guys want to work on as well, I know some of you guys have push-ups as a goal. We can do push-up progressions and other ways that we can reach our goals individually, but as well as a group. So get this done today. Try to get it done today. Mornings are really good for me, as you notice. I doing it before the kids are awake. I was super tired. I got up and my alarm, I was, oh my gosh, struggling to get out of bed this morning. Instantly I went and put on a cup of coffee, went upstairs, washed my face, threw my hair up in a bun, and put my clothes on. And then I just got myself in that mindset of being ready. Okay, I'm just going to do this. And right now we're really lucky that, not lucky, but the way that I format the workouts, it's progressional. So it's building up our tolerance. And I keep saying that, but we are. So if you're just coming off day one, like I've lost a lot of motivation. So forcing myself to do these videos is a struggle for me, but I'm doing it because I have the motivation and I have the accountability to do it for you guys and with you guys. So I'm going through my own struggles and my own journey, and that we're doing it together. So always feel free. Please reach out if there's any questions or concerns, or there's something that you want to work on, or you have any feedback about the videos. Oh, April, you talk too much. I don't know. Whatever it is, I'm open to suggestions, because again, this is a learning curve for me. This is something new. I've never done this before. So I'm just imagining I'm actually talking to a person, not a video of myself. So yeah, enjoy your day. Go out for a walk today. Do a full body workout. Don't feel obligated to do anything extra after this. We're all going through our own journey. We're all on our own pace. So if you're gung-ho and you've been doing full body workouts, good for you. But if you've just been doing the videos, amazing. That's the first step. But if you've only done 1 or 2 videos, that's fine. Just try to follow through the steps. Through video 1, video 2, just get it done when you can, and you can do multiple videos. The ones that I've posted for video 1, 2, 3, and 4 for the breathing, core activation, stabilization, and the strengthening all could be paired up. So you can do day 1 and day 2 in one day, day 3 and day 4 in the next day, if you're trying to catch up. Yeah, so enjoy your day. It's a beautiful day outside. I'm going to go finish painting the kids' swing set and then getting that up. I'm going to be building a tree fort for them as well. So we'll see how that goes. All right, have a good day. See you guys tomorrow.